anybody, tell me what is resolution?
Create accurate image. Ability to create.
To create an accurate image. The ability, I love hair color, Myron. You change every week. The ability to create an accurate image. Right, guys? Alright, so what is axial resolution, Adelie? What is axial resolution?
Axial resolution is parallel.
What about parallel?
To get an image.
You remember keywords. I'm asking you, what is axial resolution? You remember keywords. Somebody help her out.
It's the ability to put two structure in a parallel.
The ability of the X-ray machine to identify two structures that align parallel to the ultrasound beam. Okay? What question does it answer, Myra? What question does it ask, should I say?
How far apart can a structure to identify two different structures?
That are parallel to the same beam. What is the minimum distance that an ultrasound signal can identify two structures that are parallel or front to back to the sound beam?
Okay, what's the question?
That's what question it asks.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Can somebody tell me what are the synonyms for, what is our mnemonic phrase for axial resolution?
Large.
What is our synonym for large?
Longitudinal.
Longitudinal.
Axial. Range. Radial. Depth.
Okay. That's our mnemonic phrase for and our synonyms for axial resolution. Longitudinal, axial, range, radial, depth resolutions. Okay. What determines axial resolution? Spatial pulse length. How do we like high numerical values or low numerical values?
Low number.
Okay. Axial resolution, those are the only two resolutions. Are there more than axial resolution, or there's only those two concerning ultrasound?
There are more.
There's more than one, more than those two axial
There are four of them.
There's actually more than that. I just named a couple of them, including spatial resolution, elevational and slice thickness resolution, and contrast resolution, temporal resolution. So many. Okay. Let me see. What else I got for you? What is the formula for determining axial resolution?
Spatial pulse length divided by 2.
Spatial pulse length divided by 2, guys.
Or wavelength. Wavelength.
What is that? What's that something? What's that something?
Number of the cycle, multiple
Wavelength.
There we go. The number of cycles multiplied by the wavelength divided by 2. The number of cycles times the wavelength is the spatial pulse length. Okay. What is lateral resolution? Farnaz?
To a structure that are side to side or
Parallel. Perpendicular.
Absolutely. The ability of the ultrasound system to identify two structures that are side by side or perpendicular to the sound beam. Okay. What is our mnemonic phrase, Jasmine?
Lata.
What is our synonyms? When?
Lateral. Transverse. And azimuthal.
Okay. Azimuthal. I like that. Lateral, angular, transverse, azimuthal. You guys are gonna kill the test next week. I feel good about it. I see y'all already know this information.
Oh, we don't want to be murderer.
I love it. Okay, what determines lateral resolution? Okay? Beam width. Width of the beam determines lateral resolution. Where is the best lateral resolution in the beam?
Focus point.
At the focus, guys. At the focus. Okay.
Focal
Which is because the beam, that's where the
focus.
beam is narrowest, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. I think that's all my questions I have for you guys. Okay. Alright. Let's start, James. Here's my clicker.
Oh, you didn't add the axial resolution in soft tissue.
It's all right.
Do we need to know?
For the test, yes.
What was the question, Dewey?
Axial resolution in soft tissue.
Or acceleration better than lateral resolution.
Oh, I didn't get to that. I didn't get to that. Axial resolution is better than lateral resolution. Why? Because the beam is usually. So I went too far, right, guys? I went too far. We're back here. We're on axial and lateral resolution. Okay. So, which type of resolution is better in clinical imaging systems? Lateral resolution or axial resolution, guys? Of course, axial resolution is better than lateral resolution because pulses are shorter than they are wide. Okay? Therefore, they're going to have lower numerical values when it comes to the pulse being short than the pulse being the width of the beam. Okay? Thus, the numerical value for axial resolution is less than the value for lateral resolution. Okay? Axial resolution is better than lateral resolution. Okay? What appears on an image when two reflectors are positioned perpendicular to the sound beam and are closer to each other than the beam width? Okay? What happens is those two structures are going to be represented as one structure. Okay? If the beam is not thinner or thin enough to separate those two structures, then those two structures are going to be represented as one structure, like these things are right here. See, the beam is not completely thinner than those two structures. So even though this is where you know that the focus has the best lateral resolution, because the two structures at the focus, they're further apart than any other structures along the width of this beam. Yet the beam is so thin, it's still able to tell those two structures apart. Okay, so when two side-by-side reflectors are closer to each other than the beam's diameter, only one reflection is observed in the image. Okay, just like these. All right, you good there? We knew this already because we talked about that last test. All right. With regard to resolution, guys, what are the advantages of using a high-frequency transducer? Of course, high-frequency transducer, it helps with axial resolution for sure, right? But it also improves both axial and lateral resolution. Axial resolution is improved in the entire image because shorter pulses are associated with higher frequency sound. Okay, we learned about that in chapter 5, where we like short pulses in duration and length. Okay. Lateral resolution is improved in the far field because high frequency pulses diverge less in the far field than low frequency pulses. And we learned about that last chapter, right, in our sound beam chapter. Okay. So that's the relationship between divergence and frequency. Okay. Divergence and frequency. Okay. Higher frequency sound beams are narrower than lower frequency sound beams. We're good there. Y'all did fantastic on that test. I know y'all got to know that. Right. And this, guys, this is a little chart right here. This little quick summary of use this. Definitely use what chart is that? Table 10-2. Table 10-2. That's a quick summary of everything regarding the axial and lateral resolution right there, guys. So make yourself familiar with this chart right here. That's pretty much what we're doing right here. What I made right there. Make yourself familiar with that chart. Little quick summary of everything. Any question on axial and lateral resolution before we go to focusing? Any questions, guys? No questions? Focusing. So when we talk about focusing the beam, that's of course we use electronic focusing, like I said, right? But there are also different types of focusing. Well, there were different types of focusing, but now pretty much everybody uses electronic focusing. Focusing concentrates the sound energy into a narrower beam and thus improves lateral resolution. Okay? Because focusing is where the beam is the narrowest, right? And so just like on our ultrasound machine, we can have more than one focus. Okay? Just like we can adjust our focus, which is also known as phased array, correct? Mm-hmm. Adjustable focus. Right? Or the ability to have multiple focus, that's also known as a phased array system. Alrighty? Focusing concentrates the sound beam energy into a narrow beam and thus improves lateral resolution. So the energy within the focus is higher than the energy outside the focus. There are three methods of focusing, guys: internal, external, and electronic focusing. External focusing occurs with the lens. They attach this to the matching layer, the matching layer of the transducer. Okay, think of it as a pair of glasses, right? It's outside external focusing. For my people that wear glasses, think of it like that: external focusing with the lens, with an acoustic lens. Okay, internal focusing occurs with a curved active element. So they actually make the PZT into a curved PZT. Okay, and phased array focusing, also known as adjustable or multiple focusing, occurs with the electronics of the ultrasound system. Okay, and how it fires the electronic signals from the transducer to the PZT elements at different times. That's how it focuses the beam. All right, and we'll talk about that in a little more detail. Okay, so focusing, internal and external focusing both may be used with single element transducers. Of course, not phased array transducers, because those are multiple element transducers. Up to this point, all we've been talking about is single element transducers, right guys? Single element, unfocused, round elements. Okay. Phased array focusing is reserved specifically for array transducers, those with multiple active elements. You can see right here, remember guys, I told you, this one is one PZT strip, but this PZT is broken down into those vertical elements right here. So each one of those is an active element. Okay. Each active element has its own electronic signal connected to it. So it's not just one electronic signal, it has its own wire that's going to send an electric signal to it. Okay. And that's how we're able to electronically focus and steer that beam. Okay. Any questions? 3 types, internal.
So do we have this one? Do we use it?
Which one?
The phased array? Do we have it?
Yeah, every transducer you use is phased array. It has
Also, it has all
every
of these
transducer you use
components.
has adjustable focus, right? Can't you move your focus on all your transducers?
Yeah.
Yeah. All of them have multiple elements as well, which is why when something's wrong with one of those elements, you're able to see it because LBJ does a lot of damaged transducers over there. You're able to see that whole strip coming down that image where there is no information, right? Have y'all seen those? No? Haven't seen those? Look, sometimes, look carefully. I mean, I'm sure they probably got them cleaned up since CMS, but when I was working there, you know, we were working so much that it's hard to take a transducer out of service, right? So just pay attention. If you ever see a transducer and you're like, man, you can even look in the near field and see it from the near field all the way down. If a PZT element is not working properly, then it won't produce an image in that part of the scan field.
So is this 3 methods or 3 components? That what it's saying, like
3 methods of focusing. 3 methods of focusing.
what it means 3 methods. Like
3 different types of ways of focusing an ultrasound beam.
Oh,
3 different types of ways to focus the ultrasound beam. Internal focusing, which is a curved PZT element inside the transducer, because you know the PZT is inside the transducer.
okay, so again, the external.
External is like putting on a pair of glasses. That's the acoustic lens attached to the matching element. Okay, and then we have phased array focusing, which is occurs with array transducers, multiple elements. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So they are composed those 3 ways together, or every transducer has?
Each transducer has its own method. So, guys, typically internal and external focusing are obsolete. We don't use those types of focusing anymore. Okay? We gotta teach you from how it was to how it is.
Okay.
All our transducers that you've gotten been exposed to, all have been phased array focused.
Okay.
You've been able to adjust your focuses. You've been able to add multiple focuses to one image. Okay. So internal, external focus, we don't use those anymore. Okay. In my career, I've never seen an internal, external focus. Okay. All right. So again, these are our methods right here, guys. A lens, which is external focusing, right? Think about pair of glasses. Okay. Those are also known as fixed, conventional, or mechanical types of focusing. Okay. Both internal and external focusing are known as fixed, conventional, or mechanical. Remember, we were talking about our sound beams. That's how we're able to know how high the frequency, affects beam divergence. And how the diameter of the PZT affects beam divergence and focal depth, right? Because those are fixed, conventional, or mechanical focuses. Okay, we can't say the same thing on electronic focuses because we're able to adjust those things. Okay, so we've been talking about from the standpoint of fixed mechanical or conventional type of focusing. That's how we know exactly what the focusing is. That kind of math we were doing last chapter in sound beams, the last 45 through 50 or 40 through 50, that doesn't apply with a phased array transducer because it's adjustable. Those numbers are going to change. Okay, they're not fixed. Okay, so with internal and external focusing, those are known as fixed, conventional, or mechanical. Okay, external focusing occurs with an acoustic lens. I put on my pair of glasses on my face in the morning. Okay, internal focusing occurs with a curved active element. Curved active element. Okay, such as me going to get LASIK and then changing the shape of my eyeball or taking away all of my lenses of my cornea and letting them grow back naturally. I'm just gonna give you a comparison. Okay. Electronic focusing would be phased array, and of course, we know that to be adjustable. We know that to be adjustable. All right. So more specifically, guys, fixed focusing techniques again, also known as conventional mechanical focusing. Okay, includes both internal and external techniques or methods. Okay. With fixed focusing, the focal depth and the extent of the focus are determined when the transducer is made and cannot be changed. Like we were talking about with our sound beams last chapter, with our single element transducers, those focal depths are fixed. We don't change those. We can't change our focus on internal and external focusing. However the transducer is made, that's where the focus is going to be. Okay. Which of course made it hard to image things back then, because if you can't adjust the focus, then everything that is in the far field or the Fraunhofer zone is going to not be really good looking, right? Everything is going to be the beam is going to be diverged. We're going to lose great lateral resolution. So then we would have to change our transducer. So these brilliant scientists made phased array transducers where we can adjust our focus and therefore, adjust the width of our beam at different depths. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So with this fixed, there is they use the lateral and the axial resolution, or not?
Every transducer has axial and lateral resolution, definitely. Every transducer consists of that.
How it works when the structures meet near each other or in front of each other, it will show us.
Like axial resolution, like front to back resolution?
Yeah, and when the
Well, focusing is primarily has an effect on lateral resolution, right? Focusing is concerning the beam width. So less of an effect on axial resolution because the spatial pulse length is already determined by the transducer. Okay? Same thing with the beam width. And fixed focusing techniques, it's already determined as well. But like I showed you earlier, when the beam width, if two structures are farther apart than the beam is thin, then those two structures are going to be represented as two structures. But if they're within the beam width, then those two structures are going to be represented as one structure or as one reflection. Okay? So when we're talking about focusing, it's